I'm still here.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna flip back and forth because there's some other stuff that I'm doing in the background, such as this right here. That has nothing to do with. I mean, it has everything to do with trading. It's just my personal back testing things um, that I don't want to present it until it's more solid. But yeah, but you guys can see my journal and everything now.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I do keep hearing a bird chirping though.
That's that's my trading view. I don't. That shouldn't go through, or maybe it does. I don't know. Tell me the next time you hear the bird chirp, anyone, so I can know exactly what it is. All right. So some of you guys weren't here earlier when I was talking to Bayman about it. I think today's going to be a pretty much a nothing day. I think it's going to be back and forth. God damn, dude. I was like a couple of ticks. I was one tick away from getting risk good. That kind of annoys me. I think we're not going to do very much. I think it doesn't mean that we're not going to not going to get a trade in. I think it's going to be a two-way trade. I'm actually going to bring this to break even to kind of protect myself on that one. I think I can probably get another entry later on. So anyhow, I think that it's going to be a two-way trade. It's going to be a fight. And the question is whether we're going to whether the investors or traders, they want to go into tomorrow's number. Today's number doesn't mean shit, by the way. It's an insignificant number. I don't care what, what people put out there as far as whether it's like Forex Factory having it folded in red, or it's like economic earnings or calendar showing it's in red. It doesn't matter as much as people think it does. Like this just doesn't matter. Initial droplets just doesn't matter. I had a long discussion with. Let's get stopped out here, which is fine. Long discussion with one of the portfolio managers from my group yesterday after the market closed. I think it was like 2-3 hour discussion to a point where he knows where I live, and he's all like, and then I had to cut him off because it was so late, and he goes, I was wondering when you were gonna tap in. Anyhow, the idea is we're going to continue to follow the bonds wherever it goes and how it goes. This move right, don't follow it if you look at it like this right here, right? You're not going to look at this and be like, oh, it's going down. We're going to follow this down. It's not yet. Start looking at it from an 8 hours perspective. You don't want to go to a daily, right? Go to a 4 hour perspective and see where it is. If you look at it from a 4 hour perspective, we're in the middle of nowhere right now. So we'll see where this goes later on, either today or even tomorrow, or even late day. But the point is, if it starts shooting in one direction, that's the direction that everyone's going to go with when it comes to the bonds and the ES and everything else. Same with ES right now. We're in the middle of nowhere. We're just sitting right here. We're not doing anything. We're not shooting up or down. So, call this consolidation, call this whatever you want, but it's nothing significant. So you're going to follow that a little bit. If you want to jump over to say, this is the utility sector, but start looking at. So that's one indication you're going to look at the bonds. Secondly, you want to look at the Mexican peso. The Mexican peso is actually still telling us this is a risk-off scenario right here. So the question is, this is a 4-hour chart of the Mexican peso. We're not really consolidating as much as ES and everything else is. So it's still telling us a risk-off scenario, but we need the bonds to confirm it as of now. So I would say if you're trading today, two-way trades, you're looking to, it's going to be a dogfight. Protect yourself at all times and take your money quick and early. Just watch for the bigger time frame moves where, it can possibly show you like, hey, you need to get out, you need to get back in, or whatever it may be, right? AKA flip your bias quickly. Because as of now, I'm long bias. Not for the best way I can put it is the way Angela put it to me earlier yesterday. We're long trade bias, short, bigger time frame bias. Meaning, if you're during this time, we are long bias. We're getting into certain things, and on the long side, in case it breaks out, but still very short bias when it comes to the bigger picture and bigger economic news. Does that make sense, guys? By the way, you guys can always unmute and talk. Don't just, sit there quietly. If there's something to discuss, bring it up. I don't really love how the Russell is acting right now. It's kind of giving me the heebie-jeebies. But yeah, so you can always just pop on X, Twitter, whatever. I try to do a little bit more explanation there. For instance, I was looking to get long in NQ in that zone, which is right here. I missed it because I was too busy in ES and in Dow, but that would have been a good trade. Here's your price action right here, right? Here's your pullback wherever you want to get in, and you're just targeting higher. And even though at the time of posting this, I was like watching ES at 42.98.25 to 4,300. Let's jump back to ES chart real quick. Even though we tagged it already, I believe we're probably going to attempt to tag it again during RTH. So there goes your, if you are long or if you're missing a long, you can try to get in on some kind of step back hezi, and watching ES while being long NQ. I think NQ to me was probably the better long. NQ and ES combined. Chia, if you remember, we were long yesterday in ES. Target was actually the major level at 42.98.25. Tagged it and we came right back down to it, right? Right here. So tagged it. That was actually my target for yesterday after getting long with Chia. But once it came up to this area right here, I decided just to get out and do other shit. It was not too far away. It was like 3-4 points or something like that. But back, again, another step back, hezi down, up, just simple higher highs, higher lows to this. Couldn't hold above it, came down, tagged on Asia session right here, and then backed off of it again. And guess what happens? Bonds open. What do? We try to get up there again. So maybe the RTH we need to get up there. So we'll see how that works out. If you're not long right now, I don't think it's, I think maybe wait until the open. I think we might come back a little bit lower. I actually do think I'm gonna get tagged out of this Dow trade, which is fine. But yeah, so I think that you might get a chance during the open. For instance, they might challenge, in my opinion, they might challenge this little wick right here at 81.25, or possibly even take out the lows before bottom taking that to the upside. We'll see what they decide to do there. But once we break this 88.75, I would say then you can start looking at step back hezzies. But until then, just wait until they see what they do at the opens to challenge these. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just bonds, pesos. And once they choose a direction, we're just going with that. Nothing else to really say. Yeah, we were doing some look backs on like what happened in 2015 and shit like that. I was doing that with him yesterday. And Timmy, you would have probably enjoyed it. He was talking a lot about negative gamma and stuff like that, and how he just started looking at that in the last 2 months, and he doesn't really know what to make of it.
Your guys, or what? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this is a project. Portfolio manager in one of the Zoom rooms. And Ira is like, he's unsure about this gamma thing too. But then again, you have to take it for a grain of salt. These guys are much older. They're probably set in their ways, so don't know what that means, but.
So I've got a question. A stupid one, I guess, but a macro one. We've seen gold give up from the highs. I don't know how much. We've seen oil giving up like crazy.
Yeah.
Do you think there's someone big going into cash?
I don't know. That's a good question.
So I've read a lot. I haven't probably too much on Twitter, but there are good indication that there's a seller overnight for the past couple of weeks.
In gold?
In everything. He lets the price come up and then dumps hard, and then he goes away.
Interesting. Well, gold usually moves both European and US sessions, so trying to see if that's the case. If they're moving into, okay, so let's just say they are moving it into cash. We should easily be seeing the same crazy fluctuations in the dollar. July 10th. I don't really see that. But let me check it up against other stuff too. Hold on. I'm out of my Dow. Break even on the Dow. Yeah, break even. I don't know. I hear a lot of these things like, oh, there's a lot of seller at this time dumping. I don't know what to make of it because I don't really see it. Yeah, I can't say it's True or false? Is there literature on that maybe we could read up on?
I'm gonna compile some stuff and send it to you.
Cool. Nice.
But it will be in the evening. I have a corporate
Yeah,
meeting
take your
in
time.
2 hours or so.
Yep.
So concerning gamma, did Ira say that we are still in negative environment?
It wasn't IRA. It wasn't IRA. We are in negative environment. Yeah, we're great. We're in a big negative environment.
Yep. So spot gamma indicator is close to 3, which is the worst kind of negative gamma.
Yeah.
My indicator shows still negative open interest gamma.
So here's the thing, and what Ira was talking about. He wasn't part of the conversation, but they were giving us, or we were discussing what he felt about it. He goes, you can spot gamma all you want, basically. This is just trying to verbatim what he said. You can spot gamma all you want, but you don't know where people are positioned. So when you look at spot gamma, you're assuming that's their only position. You're assuming that's their bet, but you really don't know, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, so of course that's the naive assumption you make, is that all puts are bought and calls are sold, which of course is complete nonsense. Yeah. And that's, I guess, what he means. And so it's, as I said, it's always an assumption on your part, which you have to make. Yeah. And the real good ones try to basically determine where everyone is positioned. And there are some white papers discussing how you would go about that. It's a bit technical in terms of ask bid spread and matching orders. And people are trying to do that, right? That's basically the hero indicator from spot gamma and so on.
Yeah.
But it's all, it's guesswork, of course.
I think it's a powerful sentiment indicator. From what I've gathered from talking to them, it's a powerful sentiment indicator that needs to be used with multiple things.
For sure.
I think it's just like anything else. Like that guy was using it with the levels that we have, and he's a portfolio manager who fucking makes a killing. And I was kind of watching him not trade live, but put on orders 30 minutes or 15 minutes before the market closes. And I can see he's well into the money right now. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's the stuff when you know when people have to buy and sell, right? The old story, 30 minutes before close.
Well, I don't know how he does it. That's crazy balls right there. 10 minutes old. Yeah.
So let's not forget that we're just the littlest fucks on the whole system, okay? And that we do everything more than likely very incorrect or against the grain of what big money managers do. Saying that, options are typically used as a hedge against any other position due to their less exposure and or leverage. They can be leveraged up, obviously, but they're all leveraged down. Think of options as insurance to the bigger player. Insurance, it's a hedge. Insurance isn't supposed to pay you out. It's there just in case. So these guys are on both sides of the coin, and options potentially is the other side of the coin.
Yep.
going to the GEX. So it's an insurance policy for them. And a lot of people, like what we do, we just trade straight options and we think that we're doing something right. That's not even close. They use it like insurance. And insurance is not, you're supposed to just get paid if the worst case scenario comes out, I didn't get hurt as bad. And that's the play. You're supposed to lose.
The hedge.
Some
what
of
you're
these trades. Yeah, on the hedge. The hedge is supposed to be a loss, almost. 90% of the times it's a loss. 10% of the times you're like, fuck yeah, I got a win and a win. Right? Like you won on your initial and you won on your insurance bet.
Yeah, that's a big part. That's a big part, Harvey. But there's also loads of SETA selling going on. So if you've got enough underlying, there's people who buy the hedges, most likely to the downside, right? But they're also selling calls above because they don't care if they get assigned.
What you're talking about is a hedge of a hedge.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna use the restroom.
Which is you can hedge and hedge and hedge 16 different ways. It all comes
For-
down to that bottom move.
For sure, but still, these are the greatest flows, right? So,
Well, I guess what I was trying to get at is like you're trying to predict what everybody's position is going to be, which is like an impossible factor because everything is absolutely balanced until it is not. That's the issue. And then when people become overweight, they instantly try to adjust their position to become not underweight or overweight. That's what makes the fluctuations in this fucking market all stupid.
yeah,
Right? When
especially
you have
with
too many
the
people offside. You got too many people offside. That's when the extra volatility comes in because you've got people trying to constantly shift their positions to not get underwater. And I'm talking more of the retail state because once these bigger players have the money in, you can't hide that much cash. Like the moving to cash is one thing, but like dollar would be way, way further up if you just dumped all of that crude money and all of that bond money into cash. That's an incredible amount of money. Like too much money. Like you couldn't do it. So I guess what I'm suggesting is they're not dumping to cash. They could be portionally, but where else are they dumping it to? Right?
If
It's
you
not
go-
gold, it's not this, it's not that. It's where? What else are they dumping it into? And that's a good question. I wouldn't say going to cash is an answer because potentially part of it is going to cash, but I just don't think that you can't just say that because the only thing else up is pound, right? And other than maybe if you go into an emerging markets, there could be secret money going into equities that you don't really realize when people are buying this dip. Right? Latin America just joined up with what do you call it? It was oil producer, LAC producer. Now it's got an LAAC, so it's a Latin America version of their oil production, right? So whatever. There could be a ton of money going into emerging markets as well that we don't really get to see. We're so focused on this CES and this US market, I lose track of the fact that there's a ton of money flowing around the planet that we're not really aware of.
I
Not
understand.
paying attention to.
I understand your point, but what if they've got takers on the other side as well? Because of all those other weak currencies. They are happily going into dollar, even if it means they lose a bit. And you can cash out a bit on the go and reduce position while not impacting price.
Well, that would be something to examine then. There would be is there extra volumes going into these currencies? That's a good question.
I don't even know if it would be other currencies at that point in my eyes.
Well, I mean, do you see what I'm trying to say? We're looking for volume. At this point, we're looking for volume. We don't really care about fucking price because people like that doesn't really matter. And if you've ever really looked at charts and volume, you'll notice at the lowest of lows comes the most of the volume. That's what I have noticed. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that, but that's what I've noticed. And that's more in equities, but
So
not
here's
much.
the thing. Like if you're looking at the chart, my charts, right? I entered the Dow here, stops here, risk mitigations here. It was one tick away, didn't. I decided to pull it to break even. This is why like risk mitigation is important. This is why everything was just because price gets back to your point of entry does not mean that's invalidated. And it just goes. So there's a lot of times like a lot of people like to pull it to break even. I think that's a very short-sighted, you know, smaller time frame thinking that it can't get back to your price. But when it comes to positioning or setups, it definitely can, especially if you're holding it for a longer period of time. Just FYI, I guess. I know I've said it before, but bringing it to break even will sting you a lot more than risk mitigating.
Order
There's
filled.
some money managers.
Who entered?
That was John. I was talking
John's
to some
like,
money managers the other day, and they have an idea for gold.
what's our idea?
And well, it's way deeper pocket than a lot of people can afford, and that's the issue, right? They're going to be entering, like they want to enter around 30s. They've got their stop around. It's down right at 1800s. The target is at like 1930.
Say that one more time. Pardon me.
Entries at 1830.
Mm-hmm.
Stop loss is at like 1800. Take profit would be 1930s.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I said. Wow. But they know
Yeah.
where they're wrong. It's just deep, right? Like that's
Why is
200
why?
ticks.
Well, my question is why is 1800 where you're wrong?
It's not 1800. I'm rough math in that. Okay, you want the exact number? That's fine. I can get it to you, but it's not. It's not 1800. It's 1810s. If you break that pivot, you don't really feel like being long would be a great idea at that point.
Okay. That makes more sense than
I just said 1800 because I was looking at I was on a
Okay, that's fine. I'm just
5 minute fucking chart or something like that. But anyway,
yeah.
so I could see that graphical that I had, right? So this bottom pivot here on the left here from February is what they don't feel like if it goes below that, then it would be time to recalibrate the idea and potentially, I don't know, they would have to look for something different. Problem is that this has become, they call it crowded when it's on the way up, so I'm not really sure what they call it on the way down. This is also, in my opinion, crowded, as in the same as the bond market. People are just either they're really trying to get in as hard. Oh, we got 1 minute, not even 10 seconds. There's their open. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I was selling off hard, or sorry, the Russell in comparison to the rest. Buyers coming in for ES as a fake low. Thick, low, and NQ as well. Because it's past my setup, you should just be looking for step back hezzies, which, you know, you got one right there. In the Dow, you got one a minute or so, or 30 seconds after the open. And then you just got one for NQ right here. But to answer your question, Timmy, I'll talk to the guys.
Yeah, I'd really like to know what they
Basically,
think.
it's just where's the money going?
Yeah, because we started it all with basically Paul saying soft landing is not a baseline expectation anymore, right?
Yeah. Dow shows a lot of promise right now. Of course, I'm out of that one. It also seems like the weakest right now, or one that just keeps on fluctuating. So notice ES right now. Feel like we still need to tag that 98.25 major level for RTH again. So we had a rejection, wasn't huge rejection yesterday, end of day, coming into that level. We retested it and it sold off. So the question is, are we going to sell off again once ES touches that 98.25 level? So based on that, we just, just watch that to kind of give you a hint of what we want to do. Now, if we get up to, 96 or so, and we have a swift rejection, I don't mind taking this off, my remaining contract off, right? So, wow, Chow, you made John leave after your comment. We just tagged 96. Let's see if we come back in or anything like that. Yep, Bayman, we can discuss it later. We can discuss it later. It doesn't have to be in private or anything like that. All right, so we're coming in. Let's see what we do. Coming into this 98. So far, NQZ plays working well. As you can tell right now, this is why I pinned it this way, is because I wasn't sure if NQ was going to get up there, but I thought at least, NQ would have the best chance of coming up. So things will be pegged or, decided on ES's major level, right? It doesn't necessarily, it's not just, who's closest to a major level. It's not necessarily like that. You can 9 times out of 10 play it off in that fashion. But for me right now, it's just simply, are we close enough? Now, we've gone into this area. I probably will drag my stop loss up because why not? Where's my stop loss? What the fuck is going on? In case some crazy shit happens. Okay, good. There goes 98. There goes 98. Whatever. So stop loss. So, all right. So there goes the major level. Are we rejecting it? Right? So if you're in anything right now, you're looking at this saying, are we rejecting this? If we're rejecting this, take it off. But as of now, I don't see any rejection as of now. And I'm on a 5-second time frame because there goes somewhat of rejection right there. Your stop losses are up. See what happens. That's a pretty fat rejection off that major level. But, we need to crack 93.75 before I consider that a rejection, and then I'm looking for an out. If we crack it, my out will probably be closer to 97.75 or something like that. 97.25. And it does look like we're about to crack. But we have a rejection there. If you're trading NQ or anything else, you see that, you want to just take it off quick, right? So the rejection, big candle down at 836.25. So 836.25, big rejection. So now you're just looking at that to take it off, right? So now if we get up to 95.25 or something, I'll be out. 95.50. All right, I'm out. Done. I am done of that long trade, right? With that rejection, touching it again, I don't want to be long anymore. This is where you get in on the other side, possibly, if you believe in it, to look for a similar move to the downside, basically reversing, because it's for the most part might be just a nothing day. So if you did reverse to the downside, you're looking at 87s in the ES, maybe even closer to 82s or something like that for NQ. Anyone trading NQ, you're probably, I don't see anything yet for NQ. But yeah, so basically that's just the way I'm playing it for today's action. I don't know if it makes sense to you guys, but yeah. I mean, I think typically this would just be a day trade for me and I'm just done for the day. But yeah. Let's see.
So what's interesting today as well is that the cash open was higher volume than usual and the open was relatively muted.
Say that one more time.
From our perspective, the cash open was higher volume than usual,
Mm-hmm.
than average. The open was flat, basically, in average
Okay.
volume.
Anyone have questions in regards to how I manage that based on the major level? Or did you guys at least see it? Hopefully you guys are tracking it as well.
Good morning. I didn't have this as a major level. Was this like recently added? Or did I just miss it somewhere?
I don't know. It could be any of the above, but it's
Okay.
42.98.25.
Okay.
Yep. I've been slacking lately with the levels. Not slacking as in making it, slacking as in putting it down. I haven't figured out how I want to do this to also protect that right.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair.
That's actually the major reason. I have the levels all stacked.
Oh, guys, this is the Excel we need.
Okay, Harvey. I don't think so.
Did anyone know? Did anyone know that level before? Aside from Harvey, I know Harvey knows it. I know Chia knows it.
Harvey, take that down.
I learned about the level this morning.
You learned
Oh,
it
okay.
only to
Thank
this
you.
morning?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was messaging about the other day. I don't really have any of them. I think I have to look real quick.
Okay. Well, let's take care of this in a bit, and then I'll give everyone levels up and down. 4 levels up, 4 levels down, or something like that.
I need my fix.
Man. All right, guys. Well, NQ definitely came back down to low. Overnight's low right here. I don't know what to make of it. Truthfully speaking.
I've got a small question about yesterday. You said that 45s need to hold, right? Otherwise, we would test the lows, Asia lows, and under 39, maybe even more downside.
You're talking about ES right now?
Yeah, yes, yesterday. 50, 54s needed to hold. Did you calculate those numbers or just via price action, the way we moved?
That one was based on the not major level. It's just based on price action level of 49 to 39.75. That's an area that we can't violate. If we violate that tomorrow or today or anything like that, you know, fucking sell, right?
So you see demand there, right? Just to clarify.
It's a big line in the sand.
What level?
42.49 to 42.39.75. The 54 yesterday, honestly, I got kind of kind of lucky guessing what that was going to be. It's just based on price action. You know, I don't know. I'm not trying to hide anything. It was just I think it's just watching the charts so long that, you know, I was like, it's like, I mean, it could easily blow by it, you know, and still not violate 49. But I felt like, you know, 54 was a good low enough to test it. And, you know, like anything else, you're just waiting for price action once we get close in or around that level, you know, maybe. And then if you get the price action, you just take it.
Yeah.
However many stabs or whatnot. Yeah.
Because I'm just wondering, maybe it's me because I couldn't really make out demand, and
yeah, a lot of people just like with my levels, right? A lot of people like initially like that doesn't make any sense, and then it'll start making sense afterwards. It's, you know, I'm not saying I'm drawing random lines, but there's definitely a reason for it. Yeah, so it's not like standard support resistance where people are like, oh, it tags it so many times so it becomes support or resistance. These are checkpoints. You know, it's like yeah, it's just like a checkpoint. Can we pass this? If we can't pass it, we're going somewhere else. We're going to the next level lower. If we can pass it, whether it's, you know, one straight shot or we're gonna break it, retest it, and go back up, you know, or whatever it may be, it's you know, it's these checkpoints. It's kind of like VPOC in many senses. You go up there, you test that VPOC. If, you know, because the theory of VPOC is that's accepted pricing, right? And if there's multiple VPOCs in, say, a multiple day period, it's going to check every single one to say, hey, do we want to go higher? And that's why VPOCs can reject, right? So at least that's my experience with VPOC from like the two or 3 years that I was trading VPOC with Fat Cat. But at least that's my understanding of it. So and you guys can, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but basically these are what these levels are. It's like it could reject it, but it can blow right past it as well. I mean, you know, and most people who use them like, no shit. But it's not that simple. It's this, the way it's calculated is a truly accepted pricing and rejection of it. So fuck, I don't even know if I explained that correctly.
No, I think that's the theory behind VPOC.
No.
Or volume profile, yeah.
Post it, Harvey. Post it. It's pretty funny. It's pretty good. So you can see right now, right after we rejected that, you know, you get a pullback, not a really deep pullback, but you get a pullback, and then we're coming down into, you know, initially I said what 87s, 82s, you know, and that's where we're at right now. Is it going to challenge higher, or sorry, challenge lower? I don't know. You can basically play, you know, both ends, but just make sure you're playing at the edges, where you're not just diddling in the middle, expecting this to break the hell out. I don't see too much right now. I guess that rejection, yes, just was enough to just push everything.
Yeah, I took that to the downside.
Nice. Nice job.
So, correlations to oil. Do you still use USD cut? Or do you think it's the correlation is gone?
I don't really look at USD. I look at multiple things for it. I have to look at the CAD, the euro, the yuan, the dollar. I'll even look at it against the bonds too. So,
Okay.
oil is a little bit more difficult. Where, like for instance, clearly we're oversold in crude, but it's nothing where you want to chase, obviously. But at the same time, I don't know. I really don't know what to do with oil anymore. Yesterday, I thought that we were going to have some kind of relief rally.
And we sold 5%.
Yeah. Right. At least
I tried to fight it, to be honest.
Yeah, I fought it like once or twice, and I was like, fuck, I'm not doing this anymore. But because I thought perhaps Tuesday was the start of a possible relief rally, and I had my risk ranges there. We had major levels there, but it just blew past so much, just showing a lot of, a lot of weakness. So I don't know. I mean, I don't. We're right now sitting here at last month's low. Does that mean shit? It doesn't to me. So when it comes to oil, I mean, there are just times where you just kind of leave it alone. And the thing about oil that I love and hate is that if you catch it correctly, you're catching it for weeks. It just runs for you for weeks. If it's really going, and not really going, if it's just going, it doesn't have to really go anywhere. But if it's just going, as in like nothing abnormal, you're probably looking like at least a month and a half of movement, in your favor. Whereas, ES doesn't necessarily have to do that. There's a lot of back and fills. Crude just goes. So
yeah, I'm so it really, I don't know. I haven't traded oil that much, and I shouldn't have traded that many times. Yesterday, I looked at correlating market. I looked at OPEC. Hey, come on, they are affirming rate cuts, production cuts. Then oil inventories were low, and I saw it just kept getting sold and sold and sold. I just couldn't understand the world anymore.
Yeah, usually for me, it's I go opposite of what those things say. Truthfully speaking, they're kind of it's the same thing as like MSNBC. It's just to screw the general public over. Create all this scare, and then people jump in or jump out of it. I don't believe in that stuff.
Yeah, but do you really believe there is enough liquidity coming from the normal lesser traders that it makes sense? Because there was such a big move, there was big money moved, or wasn't there? So it can't be the case in terms that they are hunting for the small fish.
Well, I'll put it this way. I don't disagree with what you just said, but think about how Wall Street Bets, how they fucked over Melvin Capital and everyone else, right? But they're little guys. But a lot of, a million ants fighting a frog or a spider or whatever. I mean, they can overtake it.
Yeah, right? But I don't know if you know the whole story. There was also some big fish who fucked him, right? One made almost $1 billion on him.
But I'm just saying, it's like, the power of the small is not to be underestimated.
Okay.
Yeah, but so I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying I don't fucking know. I just know that time and time again, again, same thing with like the Ukraine thing, right? People are like, oh shit, gold's gonna go up like crazy, or crude's gonna go up like crazy, and you track it back, crude went up a little bit based on probably retail buying, and then they just slammed the shit out of it, right? So a lot of these things, it's like, how do I say this? It's the same thing with news. I do think price reflects on it way before the news, and once the news comes out, it's too late. So who's to say that they didn't know about it and they just start buying this up, end of June, and as it climbed up, they just decided to say, hey, let's release the information now. People are buying, so we can sell into them. I don't know. I'm just making conversation.
I should have probably guessed that.
So the way I trade oil, like I don't trade CL, but the equities were showing signs of weakness. And so it's like easier to see on the equities sometimes. I mean, obviously I use your levels to gauge where we are and like if it's done or if it's extended, all that stuff.
Mhm.
But the equities, like if you look at the breadth of the sectors, like whenever the breadth goes extreme, it has to turn. Now it could turn next week, it could turn next month, like it's going to turn, right? So when it gets to an extreme, I'm always just looking for a short, right? And I'll just sit, like I said, in my shorts for like a long time and it was red, but I was like, breadth is extreme, so this is gonna flip the other way. This is probably the longest it stayed extreme, I would say, in oil. So it was kind of hard to short it because I'm like, well, it's just going higher and higher. But you also saw weakness on the way up. Like they were selling on the way up. Like if you look at the charts.
Mm-hmm.
So you knew it was going to turn at some point. But you can't see that in CL. But you see that in the sector because it's breadth. There's, all the stocks are trading to the extreme. And I think it sat there for, let's see, August. It started creeping up in August, and in September, it's really when it hit like the most extreme. And so I was like, okay, in September, I started to layer into shorts. I'm like, all right, I just have to hold them and weather the pain.
Okay, so you look at XLE, Oxy, Shell, and all those big guys for oil.
Yeah, I mean, somebody gave me this indicator that they did on TradingView. It's like a breadth of the stocks in there, and it's just a percentage of above moving averages. And so I customize it. I look at it like all the stocks above the 200-day moving average, the 20-day moving average, 100-day moving average. So I look at them all. And when they all go to the extreme, it's like, okay, well, there's got to be a pullback. And to what Zero is saying, which I actually didn't know, but like it's a good point. You can just sort of hold these. Like I closed my last bid yesterday, but I obviously could have still held it into today because I guess there are like really large ranges in oil. But because the oil has been so heightened, like I just don't know how far down it's going to go, So I just took it off. But you can look at the sectors for oil or just the one sector, XLE.
You just have massive sweeping moves all the time.
Yeah. It does. I mean, it chopped around, XLE chopped around from like May till July and then it went.
Yeah.
Right. So it does go flat, but then when it goes, it goes.
Yep.
And so now it's falling back to like the 200-day moving average of XLE. Mm-hmm. So at that point, you can expect a bounce because people just come in and buy the 200-day. So I try to get out right before then, which was yesterday. Because I don't know what. Because then it's just going to bounce and then I'll lose some value. Maybe it keeps falling, but I'll lose value, right? So I might as well just get out if I'm wrong.
There's the gap above, right? Could go back to the.
Yeah, and it is very unpredictable. Like it's not the easiest thing to trade, but and retail definitely pushes it because I know the names they like to play, and you just see some really wild swings those days because they're playing day trades, right? So they'll come in heavy and push it even further for that day. You just have to be in before they get in.
Yeah.
So that's why
BOA.
I always swing it. You just sit in it. Like I've been sitting in it and it was red for like a really long time.
What kind of expiration did you target?
I did this. So in September, I had Novembers and I closed some of them for profit. The rest I held for, they were red. And then I finally closed them like last week or whenever we start selling off for break even. And then I bought December last week. I bought December because again, like it was just taking so long to sell off. I'm like, I could get screwed again. So my first trade was profitable, but it wasn't big. It was just like I escaped it, right? With a little bit of money. But then the second time I went in, that's when I caught this move.
Very nice indeed. Look at BOA. The selling, selling of 2 might actually stop right here.
Yeah.
Well, the crazy thing about crude is it affects so many things, right? Like it would be airlines, cruise ships, heating sources. Like it's just this fucking war in Ukraine. Any type of mining operation is.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys realize, but some of these mining operations run millions of gallons. Like I don't know, say a month, but like it's like over thousands of gallons a day. Like it's unreal. I'm not I can get you real numbers, but I mean the numbers are disgusting. The amount of fuel that they use, right? Like, and then the war, those fucking tanks and all that shit. Jesus Christ! Like, not to mention the environmental damage that everything is being done. But those tanks are basically big, heavy equipment machines, like bulldozers, basically just burning fuel that they don't even give a shit about, right? Which all these things affect it, right? It's a really funny product.
Yeah. We're producing like 90 million barrels per day or something like that. And it costs
Yeah, but our reserves are down, right? Yeah. And you got to watch that XLE. It's also only built of I think what is it? 40% of it's built of Chevron and what's the other big one? The other big oil dude is. It's Chevron
Oxy?
and XOM. Is that what's XOM?
I mean, Exxon.
Yeah, so Exxon so maybe it's Chevron and
It's like Schlumberger.
Take a look at how the XLE is weighted, and it's like 40% weighted to those 2 companies. So you got to be kind of you got to use it like the way you can use it. Like it's not just a full sector, in my opinion, right? Like it is, but at the same time, those 2 companies really kind of boss it around, right? Like.
Yeah. So those are like the soldiers. So once they start to fall, they kind of lead the way. Like Zom was leading the way to the upside.
So they're gonna take a lot longer to react to smaller issues. Like say, because as a company, they can there's a lot of different actions they can take. Like they can start lowering dividends, they can start doing layoffs, they could start cutting productions, they could stop production, as in not production, but stop growth, like stop building new gas stations or whatever, or like what I mean. Like they don't have to go for don't have to invest money on going further forward at any point, right? They can lay off on that, like the gas pedal. So they like their health, their business health is a lot more secure in a sense, right? Like they're going to fluctuate their pricing or share pricing should be fluctuating less, right? So they're not going to see the impacts as early. That's the problem with the XLE. That's what makes it kind of a delay, right? Because those guys aren't going to really feel like a fiscal, not a fiscal, an actual written down financial, like their financials aren't going to get adjusted very quickly. Like it'll take 2 quarters for them to even notice something that happens, right? By then, this is the whole problem with earnings, right? And all the rest of it, it's all delayed. Even these numbers that just came out for this jobless thing, those are numbers from last month, right? What was last month? The middle of summer. So not a lot of people were hiring people in the middle of summer, right? Like, because if you're either going or you're not going. You either got enough people or you don't, like, you know what I mean? Not, well, unless you, I don't know, you wouldn't, I guess restaurants and that would hire all year round, but I mean, construction is kind of like, I don't know. I would just think that the summer would be a slower period. And then we would be coming into the end next month would be a layoff kind of period almost. Well, maybe not layoff yet, but you get what I'm getting at, right? Like, so everything's kind of delayed and it's a little bit funny to read. That's what I'm starting to realize or notice.
No.
Everybody thinks about this news that's right now that the market is delayed. The market is a lagging indicator of the global economic health. Ooh.
See you. Unfortunately, I have to go now. Company meeting is in an hour.
Alright, see you
I wish you a good trading day, though, guys.
later.
See you later.
Alright, see
Bye
ya.
bye.
Major level below NQ is going to be at 14,712. Did you guys see that mass exodus of people running to the US from Mexico? This shit was crazy. Let me try to look for it. Yeah. Fucking. Oh, it's been going on for months. I didn't know, but it's fucking insane, dude. It's like you can't even stop these people.
What, from like crossing the border and stuff?
Yeah, but like if like hundreds and hundreds of thousands just form together and try to cross, how the fuck do you
Oh,
stop?
yeah. We've got a major issue with immigration.
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, God. Oh, yeah. Yeah, New York City is so fucked.
Why
No,
don't they
you know,
just-
they put them in hotels. No, Zira, listen to this. They put these immigrants in hotels in right smack Midtown New York, like not even like a shitty location, like prime real estate. That's where they're
Better
housed
than your
for
place?
free. I mean, it's free, so yeah.
The fuck?
I mean, I don't understand this. There was a whole line around the block. These
But
are
why?
like
why-
hotels that like people go to. Like we used to go to these places for the, rooftop bars, and like these were nice places at one point in time, and now they've turned them into refugee camps. Like I couldn't believe there's a line across the fucking block, like blocks long, and I'm like, what? These people are just here. It makes no fucking sense. Why can't you put them in the boroughs or some shit? Like, or why even have them? It's just fucked up.
Why? I don't know.
Look, I think like there is a problem with immigration because we stopped immigration and then we had no workers and now we're just like open the fucking floodgates. Like, why can't we just find proper immigration laws, like let these people come in legally and all of that stuff with quotas and all that shit. And these people aren't
Now
like
we have a
fleeing like
housing crisis.
persecution.
They let all the people
Yeah,
in.
where are they
Let
gonna
all the people in,
go?
and then they have nowhere to. They got nowhere to live. Now we have a housing crisis.
You know what's funny?
No kidding.
You know what's funny is I don't understand why these people have to do this. Like, just do illegal immigration the old-fashioned way. Buy a plane ticket, fly over,
Buy a plane ticket and
just fucking
stay here.
overstay. Yeah, that's all you gotta do.
That's all you have to do. Eventually, you get citizenship after you hide out for long enough.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I know some people that are illegals, and they're very nice and productive human beings. If anything, they're probably better than fucking fuckheads in the U.S. But they can drive. They have a credit card. They have everything, right? There's just like no downside to this. So I don't know why they don't just do that shit. Why? I don't know.
I don't know. No, they should have like programs like, okay, we'll bring you over. Like, if you want to learn this skill, we'll train you. Like, I can see that because, like, you do need workers for productivity, and maybe there's a there is a shortage of like restaurant workers. So you bring people in to just work in restaurants, right? Like, you bring people in strategically where we need like.
They know how to mow lawns and they know how to wash dishes already. And plus, in honesty, they probably cook Chinese food better than I do. Some of those.
Yeah, and like they could do like farming things. Like, I'm sure we need farmers and all that stuff. Like tending to crops and shit. Like, go train them to do that, or like they should come with some skills. Like, I'm sure some of them already come with these skills. You put them strategic to work, not into Midtown Manhattan. Like, so retarded.
I don't know. Nice. They're going off on it on the other room. It's like half Democrats, half Republicans, which doesn't make any sense.
Everybody's pissed at it.
Yeah, it's just I don't understand it. And Peter, as you know, I used to have like some ex-coworkers that are from Europe and some from Australia and a lot of parts of Asia when I was actually working 9 to 5, and in Canada as well, a lot of Canadians. And they'll be like, oh, it's all messed up in the U.S. I'm like, it is. But you also have to understand, like, the U.S. is strategically, placed in a stronghold military-wise. Like, it's really hard to attack the U.S. because we have the protection of Canada in the north, and Mexico's all fucked up in the south. but at the same time, we all actually have to deal with a lot of shit that other countries don't have to deal with, which is, you know, we have a mass amount of people from the South that want to get in to the U.S.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of other countries, they don't have to deal with that. Their surrounding countries are all, you know, either all great or all fucked up anyways. So, yeah, I don't know.
I'm just saying there's a better way to process all of this. Like, you just don't know like why we would open the gates and let everybody and their mother come in. Like, it just doesn't work like that. That's not how immigration has
Should
happened
be.
over the years. And but literally there were programs like in the 80s to bring people over for farming things. Like there was a farmer thing. I don't know what it was called, but there was like a farming act to bring in people just for that. So they need to do things like that, not just like shove everybody into the middle of Manhattan or wherever and then be like, what do we do with them? And now it's like everyone's problem.
It looked good letting them in, and then afterwards, you know what the fuck to do. But on the other side of the coin flip, because I am pro immigration, they do drain their
No, I
nation's
believe
resources.
I believe in immigration when it's done properly because again, like we do have a shortage of workers. Like we have a shortage of workers. Not only that, we don't have like family units that we used to have, right? Birth rates have been declining. So there's this macro effect of like less workers means it's going to be less productivity in the future. So how do you get people into the pipeline? Well, one, like you can force people to have babies, but you know, no one's doing that. Maybe that's what abortion, you know, that's why they've got these abortion laws now. But you can bring people in, right? And then train them and then put them in places where we need them.
Yeah.
So it's a problem and it's just I don't know who does this stuff. Like just it's so short-sighted. I think like when they do like Trump was extreme where he's like shut the whole thing off, right? Like no one's allowed in. And then Biden's like let everybody in. Like it makes no sense.
It's because the terms are so short, in my opinion. Like 4 years, you're
Yeah, it's
really
true.
just working. Like the first year, you're just making your rounds, doing public relations with countries and blah blah blah. And then for like maybe a year and a half, 2 years, you're actually maybe trying to do something. And then the last year, you're just campaigning again. So you know, and
Yeah, you don't get anything done.
yeah, and then if you get elected another term, then you can do something. But the whole cycle comes all over again. All right, I'm gonna get a
Yeah.
Let's Go Brandon T-shirt soon. I was actually thinking about this, and this prior to this conversation, right? That when they were mouthing off in the other room, I was actually thinking because there's some pro Biden people in it, not pro, but they're Democrats. Anyways, you know, I said something to them one time, and I almost got fucking kicked out. By the way, I was like, you got because Judd's a Democrat. I was all like, yeah, so if Democrats are so fucking great, like you have 4 years to find a suitable candidate for, you know, to go against Trump, and the best you came up was fucking Biden. Like,
I know that was
I'm
bad.
like, you deserve to lose, and I'm not going to sit here and say that it was rigged or any of that bullshit, but you deserve to lose that election if it happened. But yeah, so
It's going to be interesting this next election. I mean, originally everybody's saying like Biden runs, he loses. The Dems lose automatically. Biden
how
runs.
can he possibly win? He can't even walk
He
straight.
can't. He can't. And it's like, why would you put up Biden
Yeah.
when you know you're going to lose? Like, why would you do that?
So what I was saying is like, if I were to ask anyone who's semi-knowledgeable, who's the worst president, hands down, it should be Biden. Prior to that, maybe you can say Trump, or you probably would say Trump, and then maybe Bush. But hands down, it's fucking Biden.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me? The Bushes were great. The Bushes were amazing. Senior,
depends-
junior, whatever. They're
So
all good.
It depends on who you ask. Some people would say that he was the worst. right? But
Yeah, he was up until that time.
yeah, so yeah, and then now it's like, dude, hands down, like I don't care if you're left, right, center, whatever. Like you're gonna say Biden. Biden's hands down the worst shit. And yeah,
I don't know if he's the worst. I'm still not there on that.
I don't
I think
know.
he's bad.
I think Trump was funnier than Bush. I think Trump
Well,
was
'cause
hands down
Trump
the
is-
funniest.
So Bush Jr. is actually pretty funny. Like, cause didn't somebody say, or someone said this about him? He's the type of guy you just want to grab a beer with. And
Yeah.
then my friend made a joke like, yeah, how about having that beer in like freaking Afghanistan? Like, do you want to have a beer there with him?
Wait, didn't Harold and Kumar smoke a joint with him in one of their movies?
Yeah, or something. Like he's supposed to be like a cool guy that you hang out
Yeah. That's Dianne Feinstein, right? Oh, I hate that bitch.
with.
She's passed, by the way. God rest her soul. Yeah, and then
Look at that wink she gives. She knows what she's doing.
is that a wink or is that a seizure? That's a seizure, right? Wait, are you messing with me? You're messing with me. Okay.
She's been practicing all her life.
I don't see shit.
I know it's not a wink, Peter.
It's fine. Shitty day, as expected. But NQ really did move.
Airbnb is still selling off.
Airbnb is fucked.
It's so fucked.
Yeah. I heard like a lot of people are selling their Airbnbs because they just can't rent them out anymore.
Yeah, and it's like
100%. Anybody new to the game is being slammed by these interest rates.
Yeah.
You can't hold up.
exactly. Anybody that IPO'd circa 2019, 2020, they're done.
I have to admit, I was never a big Airbnb fan, like from the get go. I mean, I've used their
I
service.
know, yeah.
I just felt like it's too. There's just way too
The
many
idea
liabilities.
or- The idea or the actual like staying at somebody's fucking house?
I think staying
like
at
a
someone. No. Staying at someone's house. Like the idea is amazing, right? But then you need a lot of checks and balances. It's just like that, the car Airbnb, right? Someone just leaves their car there and then you can pick it up and drive it away. And it's like the idea
No.
is honest and awesome, but you don't know what the fuck is going on. Like especially in a house. Like now you gotta like buy equipment to check if there's hidden cameras. And like there's so many of them. I'm not joking. Like I've went in, I lifted the covers, and I literally see pubic hair.
Ew.
Yeah.
Stop.
No, I'm not joking. Like I was like, what the fuck?
That's almost like any hotel. But they are renting them for nefarious purposes, though. That's part of the issue, right?
What do you mean?
Hotels, you can
nefarious?
complain, right? There's someone who will immediately address your issue. Okay, so when I found that was pubic hairs, and they
Oh
said that
God.
it's like, oh, your own place, right? Like I made sure that I wanted my own place. Sure, it's an own place, as in, it's their basement or whatever the fuck it is. It's like you have your own entrance, blah blah. But the thing is, I was like, hey man, this isn't what I thought it was, and there's pubic hair, and I took pictures of this, and there's noise I can hear people on top, which is the owner. Their kids are just running around yelling or whatever. And I was like, what the fuck? And they're like, you can cancel, but you lose everything. Like you don't really get much back. So, you know, at a
Right.
hotel, you're not going to get that. They'll remedy the situation quick. You know, and I don't know. I just don't think that it's a great model anymore.
No, but they became like so ubiquitous. It's almost like you had to use them in certain places, you know, because like hotel options are so limited depending on where you go. But I think it just became like crazy because people were just like, people, like if you go on Airbnb, people are renting out tents.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand that.
They call it
Like, it's an experience.
glamping.
No,
Yeah, well, it's
no,
it's
no.
tents with
They showed a picture. Yeah, but they showed a picture. It's like a legit tent. It doesn't look glampy at all.
You know,
It's just like weird. Like an actual tent, I'm talking.
But you
Like,
gotta
you know, the one that you
remember,
pitch.
there's also a whole-
No, this is
There's
like
a lot of outback kind of people. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people want to be outdoors.
It was near the mountains. Yeah, it was near like the upstate New York mountains where people go mountaineering and stuff.
vegan.
But I'm still like, what the fuck? Who's like, go pitch your own tent? Like, what? Or just sleep in your car at that point. Like, I don't even understand that.
I don't understand people these days.
Oh, then people rent out their boats. People rent out, you know, sleeping on the boat.
I'm not
Like
renting my
docked.
fucking boat. Fuck it. You ever seen any of the other boaters out there? Holy fuck that! I'm not renting shit.
Does anyone know if chicken parmigiano is good for you? It's really heavy, right?
Yeah, it's fat, but it's good.
Yeah, I'm just trying
Cheese,
to. Well, I think
cheese and breadcrumbs.
yeah, because she starts yakking whenever she eats too much oil these days. So yeah, that's probably too oily. But it looks fucking good.
Oil. Just don't follow the recipe perfectly. What the
Yeah, I mean that's.
Isn't oil and everything? You have to cook with oil for everything.
I'm trying to
No, I don't cook with
a
oil.
little bit
Actually,
healthier.
I don't. I actually stopped. Yeah.
Oh, you don't cook it with
What do you
oil? What do you
not-
cook it with?
What do you cook?
Nothing. If you have your temperatures right, it shouldn't be a problem.
You use cast iron, huh?
He's using butter.
Some of it, but I mean, butter, it's the same. But I mean,
No, I agree with you. I think vegetable oil is the worst shit on earth.
Well, olive
if
oil.
you are
Just
gonna use
use.
oil, like olive oil would be your better choice, right?
Yeah, but even olive oil, like, because it's not like 100% use case. Like the smoking point's a lot lower than other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I get what you mean. So I try to use olive oil. I try to use just beef tallow or something like that too.
Yeah, look, a lot of people try to go too fast as well, right? Like I get what you're trying to do with like a stir fry, but you can achieve the same thing. It's just slower at a lower temperature.
Oh yeah, I just bake my shit. I was just more concerned with whenever she smells animal like steak being fried, she kind of yaks on that, which really has been annoying for me personally because I love steak. Been a hindrance in my life.
Right on, we're at step one. Right on, that's cool.
Yeah.
First step in your progression of losing everything that you ever thought you ever had. Awesome. Nice.
Damn,
Damn.
Harvey. That's a little bit far, bro. Losing everything you've ever had. Everything you loved, it's gone.
Wow.
You can tell Harvey loves his kids.
Harvey's just projecting at this point.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Maybe I should just make her chicken marsala or something. It's less
Ooh.
fatty.
Marcella's good.
Yeah, that's like tomato sauce. Or no, is that mushrooms?
Mushroom sauce.
There we go.
As long as they don't put heavy cream in it. I think heavy cream is not. Dude, they put cream in it. Fuck. Maybe I just put less cream. All right. So as we were talking about Nat Gas yesterday, if you guys remember, I think it was with Timmy. But anyways, it's breaking out now. Retro, that might be something you want to take a look at.
Okay.
If you want to trade it. It's perfect because it's moving away from its key major level at 2.654. And I thought initially, because I wanted to take it, but I thought initially I needed to tag it first, which it never got there. So it just never tagged it whatsoever. But yeah,
That's
that's
like a huge spike. What is
yeah.
it?
So maybe
Something's
look
going
for
on.
yeah. Maybe look for a back and fill to 2.941. It's 2.941. That's a
Mhm.
major level. Onwards to the upside. This could break. Damon, did you want to talk about it now, or you want to wait, or? Okay. I realized, Harvey, you were right. There's no one that, like, no one wants to, like, watch this stream. You know, like, it's not action packed. It's just sitting around, shooting the shit, waiting for price to get to an area, and then trading it. And yeah, I think you're right. It's too boring.
So what does that mean? Don't stream, or what does he say?
Not don't stream, but what the fuck? That does look like ET. Just like if I were to stream like publicly, either on YouTube or Twitch or I don't know, or here, if we're not talking shit, ES is dropping hard. If we're not like just chit chatting, I mean, there's really nothing for me to say. Like yesterday's stream, I was just quiet because there's nothing to say.
Right.
ES is dropping hard right now. A lot of sellers. Fuck is going on? Damn. Didn't Timmy sell it up there? I wonder if he still has it. It's a good move. A
I have
lot of
noticed
selling.
in like the few months that he's been here, he's gotten, and like watching you, he's gotten really good at holding longer compared to where he was.
Who? Timmy?
Timmy,
Oh, okay.
I don't want to say he was on John's level, but he was definitely not holding for more than like one leg of a move.
Dude, if John just learned how to hold shit, I mean, goddamn.
I know.
I've messaged him so many times about it because I mean, everybody already knows that, but he's got great analysis. He's really has a good feel for it. It's just, I don't know. I don't know why.
But then
Like, he
again,
had
you don't know
great-
what would happen if he didn't hold for six ticks
Yeah.
and he held for 6 points.
Right.
But like his analysis, it's longer term.
It is actually. You're right. No, it is bigger picture because he's like, it's bigger picture analysis versus scalping.
Yeah. Bayman, did you want to talk about it now or no?
Can you give me like 10 minutes to eat?
Sure. Yeah, I'll be right back too.
Finished.
Yo, what up, numbers?
Howdy. How are you?
Good, dude.
Trading going well today.
Excuse me?
I said trading going well. I'm shut off right now. So,
I took 2 trades pre-market, 3 trades pre-market. That was it. Didn't really do too much today. Nothing really fit my eye.
yeah. It's had a pretty large data issue yesterday, so we're shut off for now.
Data issue?
Yeah. Usually we took far more trades and losses yesterday than we've really ever seen in a model.
That
And
helped?
then we've what?
Why? It was
Well, the data's coming directly from our box and CME, our PCAP data. Our PCAP's end of day, but our live stream data coming directly from box after, because we capture it live. Once resampled between the cap PCAP, which is end of day correct data, and the live data, there was a disparity in about 25%, 30% of the data yesterday once resampled into 15 seconds. So pretty much 2 hours of data was straight wrong with all the closed volume.
Yeah.
A good example is, let's say one of our most consistent products is Dow futures, YM. We often only take about 1 trade a day. We took 6 yesterday. And ended up being down 500 points or something on Dow, when the largest loss we've seen on Dow has been about 92 points over the past 7 years. So
It's a big difference.
our booty holes were they were used and abused yesterday.
So you guys just shut it down for the time being?
We're shut off for today, yeah.
Is there any idea of how to fix it?
Conversation we're having with our firm of, hey, you guys done fucked up. We lost a shit ton of money yesterday, which is also my bonus. What are you going to do about this? Because initially we thought, oh God, is this us? Did we do something wrong? What happened? And we went through everything. Yeah, this wasn't us, which was reassuring, but even so.
What would you do in your code to, say, prevent that, aside from a stop loss, right? Like, is there a way to detect bad data in your code?
Oh yeah, there is. But we're actively working towards that because that's going to introduce another level of latency into it.
Oh, I see.
As you have your live data and your pCapture data, and that's when you review it at end of day, assuming everything is moving smoothly. How does it look? And when we reviewed it, we didn't have any alignment between those two, which resulted in this outcome. But my employees are significantly more anxious than I am. I look at this, shit happens, yeah, this fucking sucks. But now that we're beginning to have exposure into currencies, it's starting to become a little bit of a different discussion because we want to potentially start considering the spot route of firms that are offering access to spot currencies in the interbank market.
So how do other firms like protect themselves against bad data? If, I mean, of course, latency is the biggest issue, right? So what would they do?
Other market making firms, they do have detection. It's much easier for their detection versus we're running resample. And if a market maker is always going to be operating off tick data, thus even if the data is slightly off or slightly incorrect, they still have consistencies. But when we are resampling that data, that's where it becomes problematic.
Hmm.
As a market maker, I'm pretty much immediately shut down for the rest of the day, but most of them are running 10 or 15 different market making models to spread risk.
Yeah, yeah. And these are all day trades, right? Like for anyone in your firm,
Come again?
they're all day trade, like intraday trades, right? It must be.
We have a couple teams which, on the market making side, that have exposure to energy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everyone does have Globex exposure too, and they actively are making markets or trading during Globex session.
So definitely a different world.
Yeah.
So, did you fix it yet?
Oh no.
What the fuck are you doing then? Shouldn't that be like the first and foremost thing you need to do right now?
Well, we can't control it because this is the firm's boxes that are directly located at the exchanges.
But you can fix it
they
with
need-
code, right?
No, this is the raw data feed coming directly from CME.
Oh. Hey, let me ask you then. When you say it's their box, their code, or their box at their firm, you mean your firm or CME's side?
Our firm, but also there was some chatter yesterday in a bunch of group chats with people at other firms that the live feed directly from CME, there were some inconsistencies that all of us were seeing when we were comparing notes.
Oh. Shouldn't they take responsibility for this?
CME?
No, your firm. Like, shouldn't they?
Oh, yeah, they are taking responsibility for it, but they're not going to magically make a couple $1 million appear in our account.
Yeah. That's true. Shit. Hold on. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
My wife.
On a better note, though, any of you play around with the Ninja Creamy or Pocket Jets? Oh, they're fantastic. Highly recommend them. Fuck me up, Buttercup. Yes, Daddy. Well, zero is gone. Anyone have some hot takes? Hot takes on the market, life, anything? Let's make this interesting. Is that what you had for breakfast, Harvey? Some pancakes with a little bit of butter? Hot cakes. Yeah, hot takes, TAKES. Yeah, I have the same thing every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Unless I go out to eat. Yep. Literally straight chicken for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I have snacks in there as well, but it's a whole lot of cock. No more Rice Krispie treats. It's only straight honey. Before I go for a ride, I'll consume straight honey, nothing else. Moment of truth. Hot take. Should I say fuck it, not buy another place in the US and just go live elsewhere?
If we're talking about micro, thing like you are doing right now, which is like, we're talking about like 5 seconds, right?
Mhm.
I would say that in this case, I most likely would just, I would most likely just drag it to break even, or break even +1. Because you have, like, on a 5 second, you're going to get stopped out multiple times. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're just leaning. So your current stop loss right there, is that the low of the day?
At that point, yeah.
Okay. I would say that you can either let it ride, as in don't even touch it, and in this case, clearly you get stopped out, or you just bring it to break even and just take the commission loss.
So you wouldn't just put it on like that most recent pivot low? Because it's
Before it top ticked to the R.
Yeah.
No, because that pivot low doesn't mean anything to me.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
if anything, your entry where it went against you, that pivot's probably more important. But even then, you know, if it's going to go there, why would it not just stop you out completely? You know what I'm saying? Like, why stop there and why not go to like the low of the day? In my opinion, on a 5 second, right? Because there's no commitments at that point. Of course, you got to see other things as well, like, you know, what levels you have around there, what are the other markets doing at that point as well, in order to kind of get a better picture. So for me, I would say either let it ride or just essentially let yourself get stopped out at break even. Because after, you know, after the second top tick and it comes down to your entry, you have to ask yourself, what is going on? Right? On a micro time scale.
Mhm.
And if it's top ticking a lot on this, if you look at it from like a, you know, forget about that it's 5 seconds, right? But if you look at it from, you know, just a candle price action point of view, this thing came up multiple times trying to break up to the upside, but has failed repeatedly. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yeah, you kind of have to at that point ask yourself, you know, do they even want to take this up anymore? Or are they just grabbing liquidity, or are buyers just not wanting to participate in this?
Yeah, I was thinking about just tracking a lot of trades and going back through a bunch of them. And just seeing if I would have been better off just leaving the stop where it was and letting
Yeah.
it run, or like what you said, putting it at break even, or putting it underneath some kind of small structure.
The crazy thing about trading is that there's no hard fasting rule for the most part, right? So if you're like, I can't say risk mitigation. We did risk mitigation in our eval group purely just because, you know, the point was to track how successful you are at entering, not necessarily that's a good strategy to do all the time.
Mhm.
You get what I'm saying? Like, it's very different. The point was for you to track this, and after 100 trades, you can go back and be like, I risk mitigated, you know, and absolutely 1-1. And, you know, excluding the break evens, because if you risk mitigate 1-1 and it comes back and stops you out, that's a break even, you know, P&L wise. But the purpose was to say, sit there and be like, all right, I have 100 trades, excluding, you know, X, Y, and Z. My success rate is, you know, whatever it is. I am better off not risk mitigating because it didn't help me.
Mhm.
Because, I mean, it's no surprise that if you risk mitigate and the price, or the price goes to exactly your target, you're capping your upside potential. But we're practicing risk mitigation to at least get the confidence and be like, holy shit, my entries are, let's just say it goes there 40% of the time, 45% of the time. And if I'm risk mitigating, I'm cutting that potential in half, which means my risk to reward gets really fucked up and my EV gets fucked up. So it's actually better off if I don't risk mitigate. Because we're not just looking at your entry to your target, how successful you are at that, but you also need to look at how successful you are at risk mitigation. Because your risk mitigation is low anyways, then what is the point of risk mitigating? It's almost like it goes to your target or it hits your stop loss. There is, you know, in your risk mitigation, let's just say your entry, your win percentage is like 40%, but your risk mitigation success rate is 45% as well. Well, that's just easy to tell you, like, well, it's not worth it to risk mitigate, right? It's only worth it to risk mitigate initially or even after you've journaled and everything, that your risk mitigation success is such a high rate, like let's just say 75%. I think I'm sitting at roughly about, I can check 1 second. And I marked this obviously. My risk mitigation 1, meaning it's a 1-to-1 reward, whatever, is at 66.67, whatever percentage, right? That's okay. It's not that great. I know other setups are much higher. So my point is, if it's high enough, then and that means you can take additional stabs. So you might as well just, risk mitigate, especially if you're in a low time frame, risk mitigate and then see what happens. If you're leading on the low of the day, whether there's a level there or not, let's just say there's no level there, but you looked at, this indicator, that indicator, they're all lining up. All your ducks are lined up with the exception of a level, whether it's yours or anyone else's. I would say it's not a bad idea to risk mitigate, right? And figure out how far it wants to drop, or is this the right spot to pick a low or a high, and then just go with it. But to answer your question, in the short form, it really depends on your eye and your your style, because you entering just based on this picture right here, that entry level, had it been say 3-4 ticks lower, you would have risk mitigated. So it's not a hard fast and rule is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, I honestly put that entry right there for that example.
Yeah.
I get not an actual entry, or a good
Yep.
one.
But even like, let's just say my Dow today, right? Like, had I had a better price just by a single hair, 1 tick, I would have risk mitigated and I would have made a decent amount of money off of that trade, right? I would have taken it off the same time as I took off my ES, and that would have been a decent amount of trade or decent, winner. But because the entry was not great, and in my journal I did say that, it's because it was too far away for a day trade, that I couldn't risk mitigate. It was literally by 1 tick. So it goes by your eye, and your systematic way of entering is going to be different no matter how systematic it is. And then you just got to figure it out from there.
If I did want to kind of get stats on, I'm trying to think of how I could do that.
Journal, and I'm not saying you don't journal well. I'm just saying these are the things, like my journal will say what type of risk mitigation is it, how much R do I get out of it. I don't give a fuck about the draw. Like, a lot of people coming into this room, they'll care about the MAE shit. I don't give a fuck about that, right? As long as it doesn't go to my stop loss, I'm fine. MAE doesn't mean anything. MAE is like you're trying to be a sniper when you're using, a fucking BB gun while everyone has 50 cals and shit, like AKA algos, right? So for me, it's just having the right columns or right categories. Like, so obviously we all do the dates, the product, which most of you is just ES. I do the day of the trade. I do the potential loss, obviously strategy, everything you know of. I do long or short. I do session, which session I'm in, obviously the current market read. I do RM, which is risk mitigation. And then I have multiple profiles for RM. RM1 meaning it's just risk 101. RM5 means I'm basing it off on a smaller time frame trade. So say 5 seconds. Is it 5 seconds give me a reversal pivot? If it is, I'm just going to risk mitigate there. And then I'm just going to, if it's not at least 101, I'm just dragging everything to break even. If not, break even plus 1. And then I'll also have like 3R, major level, and those are just clicks. Is it going to get there? Right. So it's just like anything else. The more data you have, the more you're able to filter what you're looking for. Like, my success rate of risk mitigation, like I told you, is 66.667. Blah, blah, blah. And my, how often I get to 3R in that trade is at 42.59, 3, blah, blah, blah. So let's just say that's, just round it down to 42 and a half or 42. Then you can just plug and play and figure out how well you're entering and whether it's even worth it for you to risk mitigate. And at this point, every month or every quarter, I should say, I recalibrate and say, well, I'm getting better or I'm getting worse or something like that, because it could be multiple factors. And then I decide whether this upcoming, am I getting better enough where, one, I don't need to risk mitigate, or two, I can risk mitigate, on a different level, or three, can I stretch it? Because right now, my move, I get 3R at 42.59, whatever, percent of the time, but I only get to my target before I get somehow scared out, somehow whatever, only 29.63% of the time. Granted, my targets are far, far away, but I really only get there 29.63% of the time. Not that great. Chi and I had a discussion a while ago whether, for my financial goals this year, am I just going to upsize? No, it's because I feel like I'm leaving so much meat on the bone, and I don't mean trying to squeeze out every single tick. I'm not that trader that wants every tick, but I feel like if I'm exiting a trade and I'm reading it incorrectly and it still runs 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or even a couple weeks after I exit, that's something I need to improve on before I upsize, because I could risk less and make a ton more in that alone. So I would say you need to really start focusing on categorizing things correctly. So maybe you can even look at my journal and kind of figure out, if this is something you want to do as well. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but
I saw it this morning. I haven't actually looked at it very long though.
So I have a strategy. I have my duck list there, whether it's long, short, whatever. I even have the news column, like what am I looking for, what upcoming news is there that I need to be afraid of, and then I'll plug it in, stuff like that. So I believe I shut off the editing part for you guys, but yeah.
Yeah, I've been essentially just starting off by taking screenshots of all the trades I've taken over the last month. Because not all of them, I really only want to do something like this for things that might have a pretty large stop. So which means for me 3 points, or more. Because if I'm sorry, one second, I'll be right back.
Before he gets back, guys, if you guys want to chime in on it, be my guest. I don't know how to properly journal when you're scalping. So, if you have any ideas, you guys can chime in.
A different set of criteria, I would believe, in scalping. I was just actually thinking about scalping myself.
Mhm.
My problem with scalping is I only do half the job.
What does that mean?
I don't take profits when I'm not supposed to.
Oh,
In a scalp, you risk 6 ticks, but I don't shut it off at 15 or 5 or 10 or whatever. I'm always looking for it to go further.
mm-hmm.
But when you're in a scalping environment, which I believe we are right at this moment,
Mm-hmm.
you need to shut it off and take the profit if that's your plan. And I don't.
Agreed.
Right. So then I'll be like, oh, it'll come all the way, like Fat Cat. Oh, and then the trade comes all the way back. Right. So what are you looking for? Right. That's the,
Yeah.
or not, maybe not what are you looking for, but what is the market providing today?
That's an interesting thing because Angelo and I, my friend and I talked about it yesterday about being fluid and just adjusting to it. Yeah, everyone wants to be a long-term trader in that room and everyone's looking for big trades. But if the market's not giving it to you, you just don't take big trades. So exactly what you just said.
Or you can just shut the fucking shit off and walk away. But I mean, at the same time, not a lot of hands-on traders can let it go like that. You can't just, like, it was like being self-employed. It was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be awesome. I'm gonna be able to go golfing all the fucking time. This is gonna be beautiful. I can go
Mhm.
golfing for 5 fucking years straight. I didn't take a vacation for 8 years straight. I didn't, right? Like, it's not, to be at an optimal level, it's kind of like you have to sacrifice some things.
Yeah.
What's funny, right? I would like to say, yeah, you just shut it off on days like this. You don't have a fucking clue. Today could work out, something could drop here at, who the fuck knows, 1:15 Eastern.
Yeah.
And the thing goes off like a fucking rocket, and I'm out there playing fucking golf like an idiot. Right?
Well,
That's the feeling. There's always this constant FOMO with this job, and it depends on how you could word it totally different if you wanted to. But it's a different aspect to this job that makes you want to perform, but you can't perform all the time or you fuck yourself up.
that I agree with.
It's a strange way. Like, oh, short it now, short it. What are you talking about, short it now? Why?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? You
Yeah.
could, but I bet you it'll tear your face off. And if you do, where are we going to take it off? Let's just short it down to, like, I'm looking at NQ, so 754. But that's my problem. I just won't take that $200. And if you were to just take that $200 and add that up 100 times, or, well, let's just say you can do that 10 times in a day. That's pretty decent money for a day like today, right?
Agreed.
Look at, here we go. Shut it off. Oh, no, it'll go further, right? And I'm going to get the FOMO that I'm going to miss out on a bigger move. But in my opinion, this thing is long. What the fuck am I even doing? Right? I already missed my long entry way back when, right? On this stupid channel or whatever, or even on the ES there at around 11:10, 11:09. That would have been the real nice entry, right? Or anything pulling back towards that level. But how do you know any of that? You don't, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you miss your short in the morning, which I did because the pattern didn't really set up, and we've touched these fucking levels so many goddamn times, it was
Down to break, right?
ineffective. Well, it was almost ineffective at that point, right? Like,
Yep.
So I just sit here and I'm gonna wait some more.
I don't disagree with you.
See how it's running now? Look at it, it's running more, and you're like, oh man, I could have got more out of the trade. But it's just, you know what I mean?
But then you're going back to the whole, ES text mentality where you're, they're like, oh, it's gonna go up, it's gonna go down. It's like, yeah, and they're like, I told you.
But I mean, on a day like this, I don't know, maybe it's either sit out or try and hamster out a few dollars.
Yeah.
Right. That's, and if some people, like, I don't know, some people it's worth it, and in my opinion, I don't believe it's worth it to risk it. Because look at it, it came all the way back. Look at that. Did you see that NQ? It came all the way back.
Yeah.
And you didn't take any profit. And actually now look, we're going to the high of the range. So that's probably going to stop you out because that's normal place to put your stupid stop, right? And then click, you're off, and watch this. It'll come all the way back and you'll be like, oh, God damn it. But all the while, I didn't take any fucking profit, right?
I know I called this earlier.
Most people don't have a problem losing money, right? Like, it's just like, oh, fuck, I lost. But then they're like, when the money's there, they're like, oh, it'll go more, right? Like,
well, here's the thing, Harvey. It's this, right? It's like usually people who have that confliction or conflicting, you know, idea or, you know, whatever about like not taking profit and or letting things go against you, or when do you take profit, it's because they don't have a system in place. You are just winging it. I'm not saying you specifically, but people who are doing
Blindly
that.
chasing, that's what I said, blindly chasing.
Yeah.
price.
Yeah. So
Momentum.
you don't
Blindly
even
chasing
know.
Momentum. Blindly
Yeah.
chasing momentum. At potentially some bullshit trend line or some odd technical level that you've drawn that you think is a level, right? Like, or some weird wedge that you're like, oh, it's going to break. Like, look at dollar index right now. Go to dollar index right now. It
Mhm.
doesn't even matter. I wouldn't even matter what. Yeah, so zoom out a bit more than 30 seconds, but not as much as 50. Like, go to a 1 minute if you could. Maybe even 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Look at this wedge it's putting in.
Yeah.
Look at this. And okay, so right just before it broke down, you could have swore it was going to go back up right there because
Yeah.
we were at the bottom of the wedge. Look at how we were like, let's just go back. What is that, a 2 minutes? So go back like 4 minutes from real time, 5 minutes, 6 minutes from real time, and look at that candle. No, over more, right there. Go up to where that price was and look at this wedge price action.
Yeah.
So we've got a low, we've got a higher low. Right at that moment, we also have a higher low. And we're wedging into this, it's got to do something, right? Well, it did the opposite of what I bet 90% of people wanted it to do.
Yeah.
At that exact moment. So I'm just saying that the price action on that is gorgeous, and it's enough to, I don't even know what to say about it. So sorry, Bayman, you're back. Go ahead. I was just spewing bullshit.
No, you're good. That's why I love you. I don't remember what I was gonna say. Oh, yeah, I'm just trying to come up with a good way of getting stats on it. Right now I'm just going through a bunch of trades, or not at the second, but last night. And I only really am interested in doing it for like things with bigger stops on them. Because that at least gives it room to make a semi-significant pivot. Like if I'm,
But I think that's what the problem is. When your stop loss is so far away, your risk mitigation is also that far away,
Yeah.
which lowers the odds of it being hit.
correct.
Do you see? That's
But-
what he's working. That's what he's trying to say is that risk mitigate only works when it can work, right? Like when you don't allow it to work. Yeah, that's part of the tracking part. You have to track how often does it get to risk mitigation? How often does it get half? That's a better, maybe a percentage of it. Like how often does it get 25% to risk minute, 50% to risk, 75% to, you know what I mean? Then you'll know. That's why I said about qualifying a trade. When a stop is too far away, I plainly will just not take the trade. And I know Zero disagrees with this, but I just will plainly not take the trade.
No, I don't think this is. I don't disagree with that at all, Harvey.
Well, because I can't lower my size with the combine, right? I could if I would, if you know, you could go to 2 micros, I guess. But I mean, at that point, the reward, the juice ain't worth the squeeze for me.
Yeah, so I don't disagree with that because that's exactly what it means to know your time frame. Meaning, know what, like, even if you think that this can go, for instance, you know, ES, you think that there's a serious fact that it's going to go up to like 4,400s. Well, it's not going to fucking accomplish that today. So why would you take, you know, say a 50-point stop out or 20-point stop out to achieve something like that? Even though the risk and reward is there, it's not going to achieve it today. So you need to know your time frame, to know, you know, and it's part of the game of prop shops is being to know, okay, well, you know, let's just say, you know, $1,000 worth of drawdown, right? Let's just say 1,000 or 500 or 1,005, whatever. Let's just use 1,000. Well, you're like, well, I want ideally, at least 10 to 15 cracks at this. And we kind of went through this. You want 10 to 15 cracks at this. So what's my max stop loss if I want 10 cracks at this, right? So it's obviously 100. So, okay, well, then that means I can only risk $100 per trade. Now, what is that in terms of ES? How many ticks? How many, whatever it is, right? Out of say 2 contracts, then you can work on that. Which is why, nothing against what choosing a $50,000 combine is why I chose 100, because I need that buffer. I'm not as good as you guys, and I've always said that at entering. You guys are far better at entering in, earlier and in better pricing than I am. So my stop loss is huge, right? My stop loss is today, 41 fucking ticks on Dow, 5 points in ES, another 3.5 points in ES, and then 1.25 points in ES, which I lost, 1.7 points in ES, which I lost, right? Anything with small, and it's really glaring. So 1.75, 1.25, both losses in ES. Those are deemed probably to you guys as a reasonable stop loss. But once I get, and this is the same thing we talked before, another ES trade I took was 6 points. I won that. That wasn't today, that was yesterday. Today, ES, 5 points. I won that. ES, 3.5 points. I won that. The bigger, sometimes, and again, this just goes with your the way you see the market, not necessarily your trade style, but it's a little bit of your style, even though we're trading the same setup. It's, for me, it's, I get my confirmation where I'm confident at a much later time. Whereas maybe you guys will take 1.25 or 2 points and get stopped out 2 or 3 times. So it's almost the same thing, but I'd much rather just wait for that move, So I don't know. And there's another one, NQ, 9.5 points, right? I won that one, But anyways, my point is, I'm not against what you just said, Harvey. I just think that you just need to know your time frame. If you're going to take multiple shots at this, you can't have a 5-point stop. If you have a 5-point stop, you're going to blow up by the end of the day. In anything, whether it's a combine or your personal account, you have to say, okay, well, if I'm doing 5 points of stop, I can take 1 trade a day. I better make it fucking count. And if it doesn't work, I'm shutting down, or I just shut down whatever program it is that I'm using my combine for, and then I'll be at it again tomorrow. You can't take multiple trades a day. You're gonna tilt yourself. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Harvey.
That's actually kind of, I hadn't thought about it, but now that you're saying it, I'm realizing that's part of the reason I'm scared to do the big stops, is because I know, like, I get two chances that day if I have big stops, and I don't win that often. Like, I need more than 2 shots to actually have any hope of making money, on average. So I never really realized it, but that's kind of why the big stops bother me, is I know if I lose, I'm done, and I can't even try to make it back that day.
Can I ask? Not can I ask, but have you ever thought about? You say you don't win often, but what if you took big stops, but with more confirmation, and that boosts up your win rate? Would you be okay with that?
It would, but by confirmation, you just mean price is already shown.
Price is shown, bonds are showing, multiple assets are moving all at the same time.
Because I don't know, because I'm stupid and I don't know where to get that extra confirmation from.
You're not stupid. It's just, so for instance, let's just say like ES, NQ, the Russell, they're all turning. They made their low, right? Just an example. I'm not saying there's a hard, fast, and rule or anything. They made their low 11:09 Eastern Standard Time, right? Roughly. Mm-hmm. Okay. 11:09. Yeah, roughly about that area. So NQ didn't make it, but he made it. It made it slightly earlier. The Russell made it at 11:09, right? So Now we have 3 markets that did it, but the Dow didn't do it. Dow's much, much later, and it's not even moving up as high. Now, I'm not saying this is what you do. I'm just saying that's what I mean by multiple confirmation. If the Dow did go up there already, now you have multiple confirmation from 4 different markets. Then you look at the bonds are moving up. Great. Its low was earlier on the day, never came back to look back at it very much. Then you can say, I want to take it. So let's just say you were to take it here, ES right now, against the low of the day, you're looking at a huge stop loss. You're looking at what, 12 points of stop loss.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I'm not saying to do that, okay? I think 12 points is too much for any day trade. But what I'm trying to get at is with multiple markets confirming your entry or directional bias, you are getting you could, your win rate could go up, is what I'm trying to get at. I'm not saying it for this particular spot, guys, so don't go long.
Too late.
But you see what I'm saying? Like,
I do. I wouldn't mind like sitting down with you or y'all and maybe going over some examples of that.
okay, here, I'll go over this. We talked about this a little bit, but if it does something like this right here, we all want to enter here. But if you miss it, if you miss this, you can always get in somewhere else. However, even if you did get in right here, who's to say it doesn't drop down and break this and stop you out, right? But if you get into this area right here, the chances of it coming down here is less and less likely, and even more less likely up here, right? So, and these aren't numbers or anything like that, but let's just say here you have a 30% chance of winning, meaning it breaks further up. Let's just say here you have, I don't know, let's say 40%, and here you have like 65%. As an example, guys, I'm not saying these are numbers, but you're taking a bigger stop loss here, but you have a lot more confirmation that this will go up. And then you're going to take even a bigger stop loss here, but you have a huge confirmation of going up. So the question you have to ask yourself is, are you okay with that? How would you want to play this? We all want to enter here. We all wish that it goes up. But I can tell you right here, for me, my entries here, depending on the time frame, could get stopped out quite a bit. Especially if it's on a 30-second, 5-second. God, my win rate here is probably like 30%, actually. It's really low. On a 30-second and down, I probably only have a 30% win rate here. But if I'm doing this on, say, like a daily with a huge ass stop loss, my win rate here is probably upwards of like 75 to 80%. But I'm taking a huge stop loss. But I'm also not looking for I'm looking for a huge move probably, but chances are I get spooked out of it a lot earlier. So yeah, that's basically, I don't know if that made sense, but yeah.
Yeah, that did.
I think Chow wrote something to you, by the way. And another thing, and we've talked about this before, but I'll just reiterate it really quick, is a lot of times we're looking for these deep pullbacks where, the market, you want it to drop down to here or here or here to get it. But at each time, there aren't levels, but each time it gets to here and then to here and then to here, that probability of it working in your favor gets lower and lower and lower. Just FYI. That's just natural to things. This area right here might work out, let's just say 60% of the time, maybe 40, 50, 60% of the time. And here it might be only 20% of the time. So you might see this being attractive because you know where you're wrong. You know, it's only like a point or two, and you're like, yeah, that's exactly what I want. But you already reduce your win chance to 20% of the time only. Just a FYI. Again, if anyone has any ideas of journaling scalps, please feel free to. You know, John does a lot of that. Maybe you can ask John. You guys have any other things you guys want to talk about? If not, I'm gonna close up. I don't want to accidentally take a trade. I tend to do that. All right, cool, guys. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Don't click the buttons too much. Tomorrow's gonna be a big day. So, all right,
Key in for. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Or
all
see
right,
you
later.
tomorrow.
Again.
Harvey, have you taken any trades on that funded account yet?
No, not yet. I'm actually
What?
looking at gold right now. I will wait patiently, probably till 2 o'clock. Essentially
Looking
see
for
if
a
we can get a trade off.
for a long.
Short, probably.
Oh,
It'll be a short at that point. This will probably climb back up. It'll probably climb back up to that major level or something. So, I don't kind of bad, but I mean, it'd be long, like I said. But I mean, it's how do you get into it, right? Without looking like a fucking idiot.
you talking about on gold or the indices?
No, gold already stopped me out on the long.
Oh,
But the indices, yeah. How do you get into them?
I'll send you my 2 attempts. I was actually trying. So at 11:19, I had a limit at an NES at 61.25, and it didn't fill. So then I ended up kind of chasing it. I managed to get in at 62.75 that next time it came down. But that was I did not do the low of day stop. The stop was initially at 61.25.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fine balance of the risk mitigation is a great, potential tool. You have to really kind of know yourself.
I'm gonna be honest.
You can't just do stuff because you're like, well, I'll just risk mitigate, right? But it's still like it was like trying to make that $10 when I was trying to get that
Yeah.
funded account. When I made that fucked up math, you know how hard it was for me to make $10 fucking. It took 4 fucking trades for me to make $10 fucking. I actually drew it down to like -20.
Yeah.
Like, so I was actually from 10 to -20 now, and I'm like, oh my god, is this gonna, like, am I gonna blow this thing up with $150? Like, it's easier to make 300 than it would be to make 10.
Yeah.
Ah.
Well, it's because you don't want to give any back when you're just making the $10.
Well, you got to find a set. There's still, that's why I guess my long story short would be they still need a fucking setup. You can't just go and blindly chase price around, even if it is for $10. I can't even scalp for 10 fucking bucks. That's how shitty I am at scalping.
That's why I was suggesting the way I would do it. I don't know if it would actually work out too well, but like make a bracket order where you have like a buy and then a sell 1 tick above it. Like both of those are limits, and then a stop 1 tick below it or 2 ticks, and find just an area of absorption that's been going on for like 30 seconds and just try to hop into there and hopefully get filled. Was my thoughts.
No, see the stop of that's the problem with that 2 tick stop. You're gonna get whacked. You still have to maintain a fucking relatively decent stop. Like, so even with one contract, it was like it turned out to be like $120 whatever dollars of a stop that you needed to take. Potentially.
Well, that's kind of why I was saying you'd find like an iceberg where prices just, as Cat would say, shimmying, just in like a little
Right,
3
right.
range. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to just hop
Again,
in
like
and
I'm not good at picking that stuff up, right? That's not what I look for. I don't even look at the DOM, to be honest. Right. I don't have a DOM open. I don't look at the DOM. I don't have any DOM. No DOM for me. I'm
what I was gonna say
no,
though,
no,
like,
no Vin no Vin Diesel for me.
oh,
I don't
Mr.
like Vin
Toretto.
Diesel.
Dude, I love Vin
Vin
Diesel.
Diesel. Vin Diesel bothers me.
I
Stupid.
if there were
tank
ever a
job.
man that I would go gay for, it's that guy. I
No.
can't tell you why, because I don't know why. There's
Stupid
just
tank
something about
job.
family that gets me going. No, I don't judge anybody for not liking him though. He's a weird motherfucker, but I like him. But anyways, what I
Maybe
was
there's
gonna say
too
a
many
minute
of those
ago
fucking movies.
is
What's
I said what I was gonna say a minute ago is the risk mitigation for me is honestly might not even be like a performance thing. Like I need it. It emotionally it makes me feel much better. Like the second, and I also don't risk mitigate 1-to-1. I say I put on 8 contracts, I'll just take 3 off at 1-to-1 just because it lowers my risk to a point where emotionally I don't care. Like I'm doing it for, which is the worst thing.
Yeah, no, I get it. Even if you take a loss, it's such a small loss that it doesn't
Yeah.
bother you.
And I get emotions have no place in this, but yeah.
No, it's natural though. Like that's natural. That's fine.
And it
If that's
makes
fine.
more
Like
sense to me, though,
again, Zero's
'cause-
pretty, how do I word it correctly? He's pretty adamant, I guess, about the way he does things. But I mean, whatever works for you, right? Like I always said to him, like, I don't believe in I don't believe in the 1-to-1 risk mitigation. I don't believe in it at all. I think you should go in with an odd number of shares, not an even number of shares. That's the way I think. Because this job is too fucking hard to give anything back.
Yeah.
So when you risk mitigate, I need you to cover the fees and make $5 at least. That's all. That's all I'm trying to say. Like that's the way I look at it.
Also
Like,
why I
I
don't
just like it's not
1-to-1.
fucking make sense to me to go to break even and pay the broker the fees and all the shit. I need to get paid a little bit, man. This is way too fucking hard for not doing that. So sorry to repeat it.
Yeah, like doing the 1-to-1, it also makes it to where you are pretty much willingly taking a whole R to only make 1. Like, and that is the exact opposite of what I think one should be doing. Just having, I don't know. Like you
Yeah,
should
Shia,
be trying to make 2 R or 3 R.
to do your system, Bayman, you would need a higher win rate.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Then that's fine. How about if he's got a 51% win rate, then that's fine. Right? You know what I
Well,
mean? It only gets better from there, really. Well, actually, it would have to be higher. Chow, I don't know. Somebody that's smarter would. It would have to be higher than 51%. It would probably have to be like 63% or something too, or maybe that's probably too high. It'd probably be like 57% or something, 56% or something to get that 4 to 7 or whatever ratio you got. You know what I mean? What you'd have to do some math on that, but yeah, you could make it work.
Sorry, you were saying when would you have to have a higher win rate? What were we talking about?
When you take off like 3/4 of the position at 1-to-1.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, you do it the other way. Don't you? You take off. No, you take off. What do? You take off 3
Yeah, like I leave the majority
of
of
the
the
8.
yes as
You have
runners. Well, not
5.
runners, but as what I
You
consider
have
that.
5 on. So 5
Yeah.
would be the stop out. So you'd never ever get a full risk mitigation. Is what? Yeah, exactly. You'd need a higher win rate for that to work in the long run. Isn't that right to you?
No, because with those other 5, I'm making much more than one like 1R. I'm making 2 or 3R with the 5.
Yeah, but if you're
To be
only
honest-
doing that 20% of the 30% of the time, right?
Oh, well, this is assuming I'm a profitable trader, and I'm not. I'm, yeah, I'm not there. But I mean, I hope I'm getting there one of these days. But it just doesn't make sense to me to like be willing to risk a whole R just to make 1R. Like that goes against what trading is supposed to be, or what good trading is supposed to be. You're supposed to be going for 2 or 3R. And not only are you risking that whole contract for just a 1R, you're also paying all the fees and stuff for it. Like what you were saying, like you're ending up losing money if you get stopped out. Or
Yeah, no, but I go the other way. Like if you were to use 8, I would take 5 and leave 3. So you can get paid. So if it does come all the way back, I'm still getting paid.
Mhm.
You're actually losing money when it comes all the way back out of
Right.
that deal, right? So you need a higher win rate for that to work
Or-
in the long run, right? Is
or
that
just-
not right?
well, or be making more than 1R in that trade. Like your average winner would have to be bigger than 1R. If that makes sense. I don't know if I explained that right. Or if I understood that correctly, because I am trying to manage this long
Wait, have a
on 2
trade?
different accounts. Do what?
Sorry, you have a trade on?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still on that long at 62.75.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I
It's been
Yeah.
shaking the whole way up there, man. Holy fuck! Like, I'm surprised you didn't get shaken out of it yet. To be honest with you, like it's been pulling back and forth, like it's channeling up, yeah. But I mean, what a fucking tough channel. I guess they're all tough.
so low of days actually been a level for me for like the last week that I've been trading off of. Specifically 42.59 has been like my key level that I've been trading off of the past couple days. So I am comfortable or somewhat confident that that was the low of day. So I'm kind of willing to hold on to it for a good bit. With that being said, maybe I'm not because I've already taken off all but one contract, which I keep doing. Like, even on trades that I'm very confident about, I'm still way too quick to take off, which is really frustrating.
Yeah,
Like yesterday,
I mean,
yesterday,
you just never know, right? If it's gonna come
Correct.
back or what,
yesterday I was
you know?
so around 220-ish, like we were kind of consolidating in that area. I was very confident about that being a long, and I fought for it like 4 times, trying to get long around there. And finally, it starts going, but even despite me being confident in it, I like took it all off within 10 points. Not even. I think I took it all off like within like 8 points. And it was really kind of bothered me because I was fighting for the trade because I knew it was long and I knew it had a good chance of working out. And when it finally did, I was a little bitch. Trading is hard.
again, I believe it comes back to the positive relationship with money. that you have to
Mhm.
have, or whatever it's your relationship. You shouldn't feel like you should want to turn it off that fast. I don't know. All I know is that there's a weird feeling that happens once you get like say if it's ES, if you can get 50 ticks away from your entry, 60 ticks away from your entry, there's that
Mhm.
weird feeling that you get where it's like, well, this could go to 200 ticks. You don't know, right? Like I could hold this overnight. All of a sudden, there's a weird bunch of thoughts that start creeping in.
Yeah.
Same thing on the negative side, right? It's like, oh fuck, and like I had a paper trade today that I was down probably $500 on it, and it started to come back into my.
Ask, can you share
back
that?
towards my price?
You
and
just build it.
my P&L
These
was
are just
actually
charts using that
improving.
data.
And I was
And
like, oh, you
you
should probably
shouldn't
cut it
trust
now
other
because,
people's
like,
data. I mean, that's my
You know,
stance.
it-
You need to
you
do
know,
your own
whatever.
research. That's
and lo and
why
behold, it came all the way back.
I'm just
and
showing
hit
you what I
my-
do. So,
it just
all it is,
and I was like, well, the fuck, right? So prematurely cut. I guess what I'm saying is prematurely cutting trades doesn't help the fucking situation. Like I've been in the room where I've seen Fat Cat cut trades for 3-tick loss that ended up working out. The thing
based
is,
off
with
those
Fat Cat,
formulas, see how it's
he'll just get
updating
back-
real time. So I'm in
he's
Central
really
Time.
Good at getting back in.
I got a timestamp.
Like he'll cut it for 3 ticks.
First box here is
it comes
volume by
back,
strike
and
plus
it's like
open
he just
interest. We
washes
got
that away. He
strike
doesn't
on the
even look at that
x-axis,
trade anymore, right?
and then the
Puts
number
back
of
in,
contracts
close it
traded.
down.
And the reason I do this is because in the morning I start with this one over here. I guess I could do a little.
So don't get spooked out here with this little pullback, right? That's going to happen. Well, it's going to be actually a bit of a pullback here. So don't get spooked out of it.
Debating on trailing my stop to 70.25 or
No.
not.
Oh, no, not yet.
Not yet. All right, Mr. Harvey. I'm letting you
60
manage this last contract.
63 or whatever would be 63 would be the trail for now. Because this is probably going to pull back right now for a little hot second.
All right, you are managing my last contract.
Export right here.
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
Slow.
I don't have any
I'm
buttons over
slow
here.
while I'm streaming and recording.
I don't
But
know
there it
why,
is.
but you
The
said
formula.
my stop should be at
I've ma-
63. I don't know why it's at 63, but that's where I have it.
Made some columns in
Whoa.
Thinkorswim, and this is the options chain for SPX. So basically, what I did was I made some columns.
Don't say
Actually,
shit
I
like that,
borrowed some
Travis.
columns from.
Go right
I
to zero.
think I got
Zero
the first one
fucking
from Dr.
picked up the
Harlan
wrong
on
way.
Twitter. Dr. Stephen Harlan. He's dope. I think his Twitter is Next Signals. I can link him too. He shared it a while
I
back,
guess
but
this
it's
would be
that
a good
form.
time to put this one out then, right? Here we go.
Formula. I'm not going to post it because it's the formula you already know. And so I calculate GEX for open interest. And then what I did is I changed out open interest for volume because I want.
I'll be right back.
want to know on the day what is their exposure. Now that's not the total, obviously, because there's plenty of options that were already open, and so. But I like to watch the volume, and you'll see why. So I start in the morning. Oh
Problem is, like,
let me
while
back
I'm
up. Sorry.
confident
So you
that
can get this
might
option
be
chain
low of day,
in Thinkorswim.
that doesn't
And
mean
then you can export
we
it
don't
real
just
easily in Excel.
around down
and
here the rest of
in
the day.
Excel, it will update
which
live.
I guess it's
So you click
12,
this right here.
30, so we still have another 3.5 hours. But
Sorry, this one.
so a lot can happen.
Export right here.
But there's like
So
no reason.
slow
Even if
while
I
I'm
held it all day,
streaming
there's no reason
and recording.
it doesn't
there it
just
is
end up closing.
to Microsoft Excel.
At
All
my
right, see
entry
that?
or
Try that
something
one
like
day.
that.
It's going to spit out. I'm going to go to my magic Excel sheet here. It's going to spit out the values. And they look at the formula box right here. You see this equals RTD, TOS to RTD custom. Custom 7. That's my custom column, but you can just go to like net change. But all this just exported automatically. And it's got these are my custom columns that I made in Excel. And the reason I don't just export the volume and the gamma from Thinkorswim and calculate it over here in Excel is because it wouldn't really work because of gamma will round down to 0 and then you won't be able to get gex. You know, here's a little bit of gex, but it's 0. And if you multiply 0, it's going to be 0. So in Excel and in Thinkorswim for that matter, it doesn't show up because this Excel is just showing what Thinkorswim gave me. Back to the doesn't show up because this Excel is just showing what Thinkorswim gave me. Back to that. But under the hood, underneath, you know, Thinkorswim is doing it to you know, smaller decimals. See these zeros, but there's still gex volume. So I have gex open interest, gex volume. I actually did a dex for delta exposure. I don't want to get into that, but I just wanted to know kind of how much exposure do they have. Now that's not the way to think about it. That's just not, you know, the gamma exposure is what's useful. So anyway, I'm rambling. Sorry. The gamma exposure is what's useful. So anyway, I'm rambling. Sorry. I take this sheet, I export to Excel. It gives me this data. Then I made this dope dashboard, and this is what I use every day. So I'll just walk you through it. You can build this. Somebody's going to ask, can you share that? You just build it. These are just charts using that data, and you shouldn't trust other people's data. I mean, that's my stance. You need to do your own research. That's why I'm just showing you what I do. So all it is based off those formulas. See how it's updating real time. So I'm in Central Time. I got a timestamp. First box here is volume by strike plus open interest. We got strike on the x-axis, and then the number of contracts traded. And the reason I do this is because in the morning I start with this one over here. I guess I could do a little like draw on the screen action. Yeah. This is the open interest, but see, it's like 5,000, kind of small numbers. But here we are in the day, big numbers, right? So I put both on one chart just to see really what I'm watching is in the morning when that volume passes open interest. And I like to see really what I'm watching, right? 1,000 screen action. Yeah. This is the open interest, but see, it's like 5,000, kind of small numbers. But here we are in the day, big numbers, right? So I put both on one chart just to see really what I'm watching is in the morning when that volume passes open interest. And I like to see the big strikes. That's what I'm using as a day trader, is where those big volume strikes building up. And then I have the GEX being calculated on volume for those strikes. So that's what this chart is, second one down. I put my tool up, but all right. This is total GEX. To the right of it is GEX separated by calls and puts. This one here is volume just separated by calls and puts. This is those two added together. The first one, second one here is separated. Then I do the volume GEX, the gamma exposure times the volume separated by calls and puts here. And here it is put together. This is the one that's useful to me. Put a little yellow line to see where SPX is. And this is the total open interest GEX. And this is going to shrink down on price as the day goes on. But I'm not that interested in open interest as a day trader. It's smaller numbers. Look at the y-axis, 4,000. That's basically just what it started at this morning. And it, that's as high as it'll go. And here the volume GEX is bigger. This is their exposure as they're trading these 0 DTE options. And I like 0 DTE because they expire today. Why would you buy a bunch of options if you don't think it's going to move towards that price target today? So that's why it's useful to me as a day trader. Now, obviously, you can't just go by calls thinking it's going to go up because they're trading spreads and they're actually trading volatility more than direction, I think. And so that's why you can't just think it's positive, it's going up, or anything like that. It's much more complicated. I might make a video talking about my tools I use as a day trader, but today we're talking about Gamma. So here it is. Here's my GEX dashboard, and I watch this all day, and I watch it change, and I like to post post in my Discord little screenshots to just monitor as it goes on through the day. So I kind of made some for this video, just starting in the morning, what it looks like pre-market. So here, just starting in the morning, what it looks like pre-market through the day. So I kind of made some for this video. just starting in the morning, what it looks like pre-market. So here, open interest is my red bars. Can y'all see those? Good enough. Maybe I can actually make it a little bit bigger. Bear with me. All right, not that much bigger, but a little bit. And so red bar's bigger, open interest was highest, and that's the morning pre-market. You know, it opens 8:30 Central Time, and I like to get an idea of where it's going. See, the volume index is very small pre-market, $188. But I like to do some screenshots. Really, you know, I'm watching it all day, but I'll do a few screenshots to make a note of when it was positive, when it was negative, and I screenshotted what the time and the option chain looked like in the morning, and you know, just going through. This is the interactive brokers when it's kind of neater. This is just volume, calls on top, puts on bottom, and price here in gray. This was pre-market. SPX was 40.16 today on January 26th. And so, yeah, I make some screenshots. I was going to show some as the market was changing. I make a note of what the market looks like at that time. This is zero gamma. Work on that later. It's wrong. And also I monitor the time and sales. So I got on my screen. I'll talk about my day trading tools, but I watch the time and sales of the 0DTE options and look for big things, and I have them filtered by size, and just to see big bombs come through on the tape. And then I'll come over here and I'll peep my GEX chart and see what's moved. And then that'll give me kind of an idea of maybe they're going for that big strike, today. Maybe they're going for this 40-50. Who knows? And so I just monitor it all day. I think I'm rambling now. But that's basically my tools. I make notes in Discord where the market's at and big time and sales, big options trades. And so I watch it on time and sales. I watch it come through in this organized format, and Then I do my shit on, make notes in Discord, monitor it all day, going for that big strike, what's moved. And then I'll come over here and I'll peep my Gex chart and see what's moved things. And I have them, I watch, so I got on my screen. I'll talk about my day trading tools, but I watch the time and sales of the 0 DTE options and look for big things, and I have them filtered by size, and just to see big bombs come through on the tape. And then I'll come over here and I'll peep my Gex chart and see what's moved. And then that'll give me kind of an idea of maybe they're going for that big strike, today. Maybe they're going for this 40-50. Who knows? And so I just monitor it all day. I think I'm rambling now, but that's basically my tools. I make notes in Discord where the market's at and big time and sales, big options trades. And so I watch it on time and sales. I watch it come through in this organized format, and then I do my day trading thing where I use lots of other tools. And this is just one tool. So that's how I use Gamma as a day trader. I'm thinking maybe I'll make a video on the toolbox, all the tools I use as a day trader. Maybe stay tuned for that. But thank you for watching, and I left out a couple things. So now I'm making part